Well, Max, here we are, finally confirmed 2021 Formula One World Champion. Your emotions on hearing that?
The whole day has been a roller coaster. Of course, I was nervous this morning going into the car, knowing there was a title at stake, and then throughout the race as well, the roller coaster of emotion where it seems like you're losing the battle. But I always said to myself, I'm just going to push until the last lap. I'm not going to make it easy. And I just kept believing in there might something, come my way at the end of the race. And of course, you never expect that to happen. But of course, after that safety car and then, having that one lap shootout, I had the fresher tires on. I said, that's my chance. But the funny thing was, then I was so close and then I got a massive cramp in my leg in that last lap, the whole lap. So when I went for the move already, that whole straight, basically turn 2 trees flat. I had a massive cramp, so I was just going flat out, but like biting my teeth, like, go on, because it was really painful. So I made the move. And then, of course, I had still another 2 long straights to battle with Lewis, but having this cramp. So, yeah, that was not really enjoyable. Then I was very happy after turn 9, everything started to settle down, so I could lift a bit earlier into 12, because the cramp was just unbearable. But all that just adds to the emotion of the whole race.
You've been karting since the age of 4. Racing's been your life. Do you remember the first time you ever sat in a kart? Do you remember the first time you ever experienced that thrill of speed?
The goal was together with my dad, where we traveled all over Europe. It was first, of course, to get to Formula One. That's already an achievement. Then, of course, you hope that you one day stand on the podium or maybe win a race. These things were achieved. Then the ultimate goal is, of course, to win a championship. And then, once you achieve that, like today, and then having that emotional moment also with my dad behind into the garage, basically, it was really special and something I will never forget.
You were born to racing parents, your dad and your mum. How important have they been on this journey for you?
Of course, I was born to race, but my parents, they never pushed me into racing, and they said, you can do whatever you like. But of course, naturally, when you grow up and you see all this happening around you, you're like, oh, I would like to try that. And then I really liked it, so my parents never needed to push me into it. But yeah, of course, it's very nice, and it helped me a lot throughout my career, where, of course, my dad was the big influencer in terms of performance. But then at the other end, I had always the support of my mom. She came to races, and she still, I don't know today how she survived, but because normally all the other races already, she gets really nervous. So I spoke to her quickly, and it's for the whole family, it's something really special.
You were incredible in go-karts, a phenomenon. When you got into single-seaters, Florida Winter Series, Formula 3, you were doing F1 by the end of that first year. Did your ascent, your rise, did the speed of it take you by surprise?
I always went into it like, we'll see what happens. I was not too fussed about it. I was like, I know whatever car I'll drive, I'll try to do my very best, and then we'll see where we end up. And of course, throughout that year, everything went so quick. I got into Formula One, and of course, in the beginning, I made mistakes and I was learning, but that for me was the better way. I preferred to do that in F1 than wherever, other categories. And for sure, that first year in F3, the good thing about it was we were doing a lot of races. I did 33 races in a whole season, so you could learn a lot from one potential mistake, and then you could rectify it in the other ones. So for me, that was a really good year. But then, of course, being already, this time in Formula One has been crazy. 24 years old. I started when I was 17, and also the trust Red Bull put in me from that very young age, and then promote me to the senior team. It's just an incredible journey altogether.
When you first came into the sport for the first few years, you were hit quite hard by people that said you didn't race fairly, you raced too aggressively, and you always said, I'm not going to change because this is how I race, this is how I've got here. But as you've said, you had to learn from those mistakes. How difficult was it to learn, to grow, to develop, but to maintain that core element of what makes you the racer you are?
It's not difficult. Of course, sometimes it hurts. It needs to hurt sometimes. That's what my dad always said. Especially when I was still racing in go-karts in the national championships, I had a lot of wins, and I didn't know what losing was like. And my dad was like, well, one day you will learn and it will hurt. So then, of course, that day came where I didn't win, and I was crying, because I hate losing. And of course, I think that's a good mentality, but you also should analyze and understand why that is. And you should also, of course, then be grateful, be respectful to the guy who beat you. And I think over the years, of course, you learn how to do that better, and especially in Formula One, because you only normally have one dominant team. This year, I think already has been incredible, where 2 teams are fighting for a title. But yeah, these moments where you're in tough times, like for me also 2018 in the beginning of the year, it was really tough, but you need those moments to become a better driver.
Your relationship with Daniel was so great when you were teammates together. How much did you learn from him? And then how much did you change when you became the team leader? You had that responsibility to be the one pushing that team forward.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great relationship with basically all my teammates, but especially also Daniel. He's an amazing guy. I really get along with him well. And of course now also, I mean, I grew up a lot from when I was 17, 18 to now. My dad also always said, you can always listen to anyone, and then you just take whatever you think is necessary or what you think is good, and you try to apply that to yourself, and that's how I work.
You've been on the back foot with Red Bull over a couple of seasons, always trying to catch up, but this year was different. When did you know that this could be the year, the special year?
Well, of course, naturally, when I was in the lead of the championship at one point and the gap was increasing, it looked good, but still, every race was a battle. I won, but there may be one or two races where it looked dominant, but the other ones were always so tight. So I never felt comfortable in the lead. And then, of course, we had some unlucky moments, my tire blowout in Baku, Silverstone, Hungary, the lap one. So then immediately, of course, I lost a lot of points. But then I think as a team, we really worked well together to optimize the car and the engine as well with Honda to still get some really important results. And at the end of the day, that really gave us the opportunity to fight in the last race.
The team around you here, they have been so positive towards you, embracing you at all times. We could hear the emotion on the slowdown lap. Christian, Helmut, Dietrich, the entire squad that you've got behind you, pushing you, who believed in you, who brought you to Formula One so quickly. What have they meant in this journey?
Yeah, I mean, I'm normally not really an emotional guy. I don't really show my emotions. Of course, sometimes I'm upset on the radio, but that's different. That's just when you're not agreeing to something. But yeah, I mean, I was crying on the in-lap, so it just means a lot. I mean, it's my life. I grew up, didn't like school, so I always wanted to do something where I didn't need school for. And once you achieve your life goal, your life mission, it's just something truly incredible, but also not only for me, but for my whole family, because they also had to live for me, because my dad was away a lot. It probably cost the marriage. And also my sister, she missed me, she missed her dad, because my dad was always with me. So all of this now, just brings back a lot of, just rest. And also, this hasn't been for nothing. And that's something which is very special.
I think people overlook that sacrifice that you've made.
Yeah, no, we don't. I mean, I think my family in general, we are not some people who like to talk about that. We just always keep it in a bit. But I can feel, of course, and I could see that it hurt my mom, my sister, of course. We are away a lot, and with all the things that happen, of course. But just it's a real family effort.
The battle with Lewis Hamilton, you've denied him what would have been a record, a history-making 8th world championship. It's been tight, it's been close between you two all year. You've had your elbows out against one another. What did the fight with Lewis teach you about him and about you?
I always knew already that Lewis was a great driver, but I never really had that full opportunity to race against him. And I think what was very special this year was that both of us, we pushed the car and the team to the limit, because we demanded a lot, but we also gave back a lot for both of the teams. And I think that is very special, because last year I came out of a few races and I felt like I didn't really have a workout, because I was always on my own. So I just managed my pace because I knew there was nothing to gain, nothing to lose. But this year, most of the races I've been just driving flat out to the last lap, knowing that of course the pressure was always there. And that is something truly special, and what I will always remember. And I hope, of course, that Lewis and I can continue this for a couple more seasons.
You say you push things to the limit. At times this year, you've been accused of pushing things over the limit. When you were accused of those things, did you feel hard done by?
Well, it's the same story as in 2018. You have to believe in yourself, and that's what I did. Of course, you learn from moments. It doesn't need to be mistakes or good things. You learn from particular moments. And you try to become an even better driver, and I think that's again what I tried to do this year.
Did those moments give you resolve, an extra determination, and increased motivation?
Even more motivation to do well, yeah.
You said your focus this year would be on the moments, focus on the now, look at the bigger picture later. Now you can look at the bigger picture. How do you look back on this year, what you've achieved with the team, what you've achieved with Honda as well in their final year, and for you at 24 years of age to be a world champion?
Yeah, I mean, this was my last goal in Formula One, where I wanted to become a world champion. You know, we had pole positions, fast laps, race wins, you know, all of that. But this was the ultimate dream, and now that we have achieved that, basically for me, everything what comes next is a bonus.
What does come next for Max Verstappen?
A few more years in Formula One where I'm going to enjoy it.
How excited are you now for 2022? New car, new regulations, a fresh sheet of paper for everybody.
To be honest, at the moment, right now, I don't have any feelings about it. I just want to enjoy what I've achieved this season together with the team. But of course, I also know that after a few days, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, I need to be back in that mindset for next year, where I'll try to defend the title. But also, a thing I'm looking forward to is to drive around with number 1.
Love that. And you will take the number 1?
Yes.
Beautiful stuff. Congratulations, Max.
All right.